Welcome to the Tom Castro Shooting Academy podcast. You have now entered the next level. What's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Tom Castro Shooting Academy Next Level podcast. I have a couple of amazing guests. Well, at least one great guest, Mr. Bill Duda, and a good old the good old same old Todd Holmes here. So we are going to get into the South Carolina Sectional. So we are about 2 weeks away. And I figured this would be a good time to put the podcast out to kind of let you guys know that we have, how many spots do we have, Todd? Just under 30, I think.
Right at 30, somewhere right in there.
So once you see this, because this is going to come out on Monday, I want you to sign up. We're almost sold out. This will be the first time we're going to sell the match out. The vendor area is going to be awesome. So we just kind of wanted to come up here and kind of beat up Bill because it's his fault that we have all this extra work this year.
Oh, you're welcome. You seemed bored.
Yeah. I was so bored last year. Anxiety attacks and all that. I was bored.
Bill, did you see any of those from him?
No, I didn't see his panic attacks, but I did see him crawling out of the porta potty. I thought maybe it was just full. I didn't know.
That was actually a complaint last year, not because they were full, because they stunk. And I'm like, it's a porta potty. Like, are they supposed to smell rosy and fresh? I think I went on a 10-minute rant after that match on a podcast about the damn everybody bitching about a porta potty. I was like, what in the hell are we doing right now in this sport?
Hold on. So Todd, do you do an after a post match survey? Yeah. You're gonna get, when people don't have something about the match to bitch about, they'll bitch about the most random thing.
Yeah.
One year was like, the stage numbers were not well defined. And I was like, that was an awesome review. I mean, that was the only thing you really got to complain about.
Yeah, the most popular one was porta potties. Then one following that was there was too much dust. And then it just went from there. So, yeah.
How dare you, Todd?
I know, right?
Made it rain or brought a water truck or something.
Somebody suggested that you bring a water truck out like every half day. I'm like, did you see the traffic at the club without a water truck going through there?
Yeah.
I was like, the ones that suffered is you and Da Vinci being up there in that little area where we had you.
I think I still have dust in my clothes and truck from that match.
We're fixing that this year, by the way. So that was it's funny though, like this is one of my favorite things about Todd with running the match is that every year he does do that survey. So it allows him to basically grow every single year and never just go, okay, it was good enough. And that's been the coolest part. Like obviously the porta potty thing, I think you're just going to deal with it regardless. I mean, people are going to complain, but like Todd says, he's always looking for a pattern, right? If there's a pattern of, 20 suggestions of the same thing, then that might be an actual thing to take action on.
Yep. Like the first year we didn't have tables on stages 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We didn't put tables or shade over there. They're up at the part of the rifle end, but they weren't there. So I put them there. This year I've got quote unquote drivers scheduled to come out and do the porta potties. We'll see if that actually happens or not Saturday night. So
yeah, I just think everybody would like a clean bathroom. I get it, but just when they said the smell was bad, I just thought that was interesting because it's not supposed to smell good. It's a bathroom that's literally out there without running water, so it's just kind of how it works. But maybe don't hang out near them, like go back to your stage and don't hang out by the board. It wasn't like they were on the stage, but so let's start off with this. So some of the things that we did this year was because of Bill. So we want to talk a little bit about, I guess I'd say the partnership that Todd has created with Bill and Go Fast Don't Suck, because what you guys just spent a ton of time on the range actually in the last couple of weeks putting up Wi-Fi for everything now.
Yeah, there's Wi-Fi down in the competition bays, on the clubhouse, and on the 300-yard range. And then Bill was kind enough, and I nerded out a little bit this afternoon with his kits to send them. And so I threw the batteries in them, charging them, going to go out and get them on the other side. And hopefully for next year, I'll take pictures of Bill's kits. He sent me the parts and make some for next year, so I don't have to bother him for the Wi-Fi at least. There's going to be other shit I always bother him about, but maybe not Wi-Fi this next year.
You going to be able to make the match this year, Bill, or you still don't know yet?
No, it's not looking good. I'm
No?
I'm
Okay.
traveling for work on Monday and heading all the way out to California. So here, I got some signs to put up. This wasn't supposed to be a PG thing, is it? Because I'm totally
No,
ruining
it's
this.
not.
All right.
It's not.
I
I got
never
some
cuss.
stickers I'm going to print up for you, Todd.
I never
That's
cuss on
awesome.
the podcast. Todd's the cusser. I don't ever cuss on the podcast.
No.
I don't think I've ever said
You
a
want-
cuss word in public ever. So we're good.
Yeah, do you want to sponsor? We were joking. We're going to put Go Fast Don't Suck stuff all over in the porta potty, so
We
you can
actually
sponsor
did
those.
say that.
That'll only be the third time it's been done. So
Oh, well, sorry. I
No,
thought it was funny.
we've done it. The one year we were sponsoring the Trident match up in Maine,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, "Well, you know, what would you like to pick up as your sponsorship?" And I was like, you know what, dude? I was like, they were only down to 2 divisions and a stage, and I was like, you still got time to get sponsors. I was like, if you can find somebody else that wants to sponsor one of those, do that. And they were like, well, what about you? You're driving all the way up here. I was like, you know what? I'll be the porta potty sponsor. And I brought banners and put banners up in the porta potties.
That's awesome.
Because honestly, if they were able to pull in another sponsor because they had a division spot available, I wanted them to do that and get that sponsorship. So
your experience has been area 8, right? That's where you did most of you've match direct and actually ran that match for a couple years, right?
yeah, I've done everything in this sport from just the page shooter to the through all of the ROs to the match director of a level 3. Yeah, I did the Virginia Maryland match in 2015, I believe it was, and then 3 years of area 8.
So in all your time doing area 8, did it get better every year, or did you run into newer problems every single year, or was it kind of just like you got into a rhythm?
I like to think that we made it better every year. I do have some statistics from that help. The first year I ran it, we went from a 300 competitor match it was a 250 competitor match to a 350 competitor match.
That's a lot extra.
And by the time I was done, we had 550 registrations.
Wow.
And of that, I mean, you end up with a bunch of dropouts and stuff, but I think we had 500 full scores posted at least for the last year I was there. So
how many stages for that type of a match when you have that many shooters?
12 to 13.
Really?
And that's like 13 being a combination of 2 speed courses. If you
Right.
do anything more than that, you're going to have to split it up into a couple days.
Yeah.
You know. And then they don't have the parking facilities for that.
No. Is that the same range they had it in the one that last year?
Yeah, on Alani Run and Gun Club up in well, anyway, I'll remember that for later on. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what it is. I just because I was there last year, I wasn't sure if that was the same range that you always ran it at. So
yeah,
Didn't
it's up
that
near
match sell
Allentown,
out?
PA.
That match sold out in 7 minutes this year, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so. The last several years it has sold out very quickly. The range that we started holding it at has turned into like the hot spot for that match. They also run the the Mid-Atlantic section match there, and it's really popular. They run you want to talk about crazy. They run, I think it's a 10-stage local match there every month. So your whatever $40 match fee gets you basically a level 2 every single month.
That's
And it
freaking
really stresses the hell out of everybody else that runs a local.
Yeah, I mean,
I
in that
think they
area,
have
they're like, what do we do?
Like,
Well, I think
how do we
they
make
have a
the
lot
section
of-
match? Yeah.
yeah, they have
Yeah.
like 150 shooters though, don't they? Like they get guys that travel 2 hours to get to that match sometimes, I think.
Yeah, the New York, the guys, the Team Infidel guys really love
Yeah.
coming down and supporting that club, and they'll do it damn near every month.
So what is their staff like? Do that like just for their local matches? They have 20, 30 people, or I mean, they have quite a bit of help, or no?
No, and this is the most common thing about most of the sport. You have probably 4 dudes and Vicky, so you got 5 people that will basically
Wait,
manage the
5
entire match.
5 people put up 10 stages every month.
Well, so they start really early. So you're looking at them putting stages on the ground and then existing on the ground for like, a week before the match actually happens. But they have that facility there. They have, let me think, it's 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8. So they got 8 stages that they can put up and rope off so nobody can go over into that area until they tear down.
Yeah.
So if they get a head start on it and they set up, a bunch of stages the week before or during the week, because the most of the people that manage that match are locals. But yeah, it's not very many people that do most of what we do, what we enjoy in the sport.
What is your what was one of the reasons that you stepped away after running the match for 3 years? Just burn it, were you finally burnt out running that big match? I mean, that's a big match to run.
Yeah, well, I had put all of my energy into match directing, and only doing the one match because I wanted to improve it and make it the way I thought an area match should be. And since I had the keys, nobody could tell me no. Right. So I put all of my energy into that match. And by the midway through the second year, I was like, look, guys, I'm not doing this 4 years in a row. I was like, I want to take a break at least. You know, let's start finding an assistant match director that I can show what I'm doing to. And by the time I was done, I handed the keys over and let somebody else run it. So, and then very shortly thereafter, I was getting bored because I wasn't spending 20, 30 hours a week on the match.
Yeah.
So I ended up starting up Go Fast, Don't Suck by accident.
By accident. I love that story, how you guys started it too, the slogan at least.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of shit talkers is all it is.
I mean, yeah.
The best. That's what it's about, though. That's what,
for a guy that never cusses on his own podcast, that was a lot.
Yeah. Well, it was on the work. It was on there. I read it. So no, I like, that's awesome, man. Like, I think, it's starting to become a pattern, like with the volunteer thing. I'm starting to see it more and more. Like I talked a little bit about in my last podcast, and it's just, so it's interesting how, like that's one of the biggest clubs, right? Like to one of the biggest matches, and they have 5 people. I put on 5 stages twice a month, and I'm actually canceling my 3rd weekend because I don't have a match director to cover it when I'm out of town. I'm gonna be in South Carolina. Yeah. And I have given everybody notice for, I don't know, a couple of months. I'm kind of good at communicating. I talk a lot. So, and in our safety briefings, I said, hey, like, guys, this is going to end soon. Like I will be here when I'm here, but if I'm not, I have a business to run. I don't do this for a living. I don't make almost anything doing it. I just enjoy building stages and all that stuff. So it's like, all right, there goes the first match already for the year. And there's going to be multiples, because the one thing that about coaching in this sport is you make all your money on the weekends.
Yeah, you sure do.
Yeah. So I won't be home to make locals. So it's just, and I have a match director there that we actually took the match over from, and he did it for like, oh my God, 13 or 14 years. Right. And I asked him the other day, I said, hey man, can you take it over for this weekend? And he was just like, and he thought about it, right? Like, cause he wants the match, but he looked at me and he was like, you know what, dude, people need to step up. And I was like, great answer. Like, because if he comes back, they'll be like, oh, don't worry about it, Keith will do it. No, he doesn't need to do it. He did it for 14 years. Like he covered it for 14 years. So it's like, I don't know. People need to, it's been kind of weird lately. Like South Carolina's been having some issues. A lot of clubs are having issues with just finding people.
Yeah. I think there's been a transition of mindset since I've gotten into the thing, and it has gone a little bit further away from a volunteer sport and more into, I paid my fee, let me enjoy my game and go home. And it's a real disappointment, but I've seen here and there, you will find people. It just won't be the people that have been coming for the last 6 years. It's going to be the new guy that, would really rather save his $20 for the match so he can, afford ammo to shoot that weekend. So he'll come out and start participating, and boom, you now have a new guy to help you set up matches.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead, Todd.
We average 3 to 6 for our locals, and then the last 2 years for the section match, I've got a lot of people that come, but it's 3 to 6 every local I do for 6 stages.
You want to something really wild? So Area 8, the 3 years I ran it, I actually found a buddy, to come out and literally stay in a hotel and spend the weekend on the range with me setting up most of the match.
Just the 2 of you?
Yeah, the two of us. So we would spend the day on the range the entire week setting up, 2 or 3 stages a day, and then going back and getting shit faced and sitting by the pool and laughing at the kids trying to drown. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
So like for us right now, our local, I'm starting to find help, like people, like especially some of the newer guys, they want to help, but the problem is the schedule. Like they can't come in on a Saturday night, a lot of them. And if you build a good match, it's very difficult to build that the morning of, or you're going to have just shitty stages. So I build Saturday night because I'm a loser, I guess, because I'm obsessed with this game, but I build Saturday night, and the last match I had 3 guys. So I saved 3 hours of building, but they're not experienced builders. So they basically just move things around but that helped a lot. That was 2 hours that I saved. Yeah. So we took all the stuff onto the stage, and then I was able to stand there and design it, like, cause I don't really write anything down. I just kind of see what I want and build it that way. And they were moving things around. And then as I was going, I was teaching them what I see, why I do things. So I'm trying to like mentor them into it. My same group was there with me shooting, and I mentored them in ROing this weekend. And I'm looking around and I'm like, where the fuck is everybody else? Like no one's helping anyone. No one's mentoring ROs. Like I had to have a safety conversation about, if you see a DQ them. Don't come to me and go, hey, we think this guy DQ'd. Then DQ him.
What can I do after a fact?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it doesn't, like, there's just stuff where it's like, well, I don't want to be a jerk. I said, you're not being a jerk. This is the sport. If the guy shoots somebody, then how you going to feel, right? And I mean, I have a lot of new shooters, and the crazy part is not even the damn new shooters that are breaking the 180. So it's like,
tryhards.
Well, I give them a safety brief at the beginning. I was like, listen, you're going to suck. I give them the safety brief a guy never got, right? You're not going to win on your first try. You're probably going to suck. Don't worry about it. Just once you're done shooting, take a deep breath, unload, face down range, unload, show clear. And you can't win if you don't finish the match anyway. So that seems to really work, because I don't give them the old, hey, all the commands and shit. I give them that, but it's like so confusing for a lot of new shooters. So I'm like, if you have any questions, just ask. Don't wait until it's too late. Just go, I'm not 100% sure if I'm supposed to pull my gun out of my holster. Right? Yep. So ask that question. No one's going to make fun of you, I promise. And everybody wants to help you here. So it's been great. We've had a lot of really, really good experiences with new shooters, and I'm holding on to those new shooters. That's one of my favorite things about my match, is that I'm starting to see like entire squads of new shooters that have, grown into the sport. And I'm like, all right, time to hand them a hammer. Let's run them off.
No, you need to, after you set up with us, you're going to go buy a hammer drill and Shooting Sports Innovations thing. I promise you, when you use that as a section match, you're buying one.
Well, I remember being there for building my stage for the class the last time I was there, and I was just like, I'm getting this. And the other day I pulled a stage down by myself for practice that I kept from Sunday, and I was like, holy shit, I put all these in by hand. I mean, dude, I swear to God, it was half of a 5-gallon bucket that I nailed in of all the shit. And I'm just like,
why?
I'm done with this.
No. The first year I did the Virginia Maryland section match, and I spent that week hammering. I was shooting revolver at the time, and it was the day before staff match, and we had all the staff showing up to help finish up. And I was like, look, guys, I'm not swinging hammer today. I was like, I have to squeeze the revolver trigger for the next. I was like, my arms need a break from this. Little noodles.
No kidding.
Yeah. This will be the first section match we've had the hammer drills, but at the locals, it saves us an hour or two just at the locals from being able to do that. We've run 2 of them. Yep.
Next step is make sure you got crowbars for breakdown. It really,
he's got tons of those.
We have the 44-inch wrecking bars with V cut in them.
Nice.
Yep. The hardest part about the Belt and Gun Club is that they have some pretty thick ground cover.
Yeah.
So like and it's not that the ground cover is hard to get through, because you just rake it really easy. It gets out of the way real fast. It's that when you need to make a micro adjustment, the damn wall wants to fall over, because, you got to get down to the clay. So when you get down to the clay, and for whatever reason, where those bays are, the wind just comes wailing through that area. And it's like, all right, move it 2 inches. And then it's boom, like what the, didn't even get to move the damn thing, and it already fell over. So it tends to take 2 people to put walls up there when it should take 1 person. But I mean, listen, once you nail that shit in there, it doesn't come out. I mean,
And then for section, we put wall supports up because the first year we built matches there, we didn't put any wall supports up. And we were shooting an admin day. We got through the competition area fine. 1 through 6 was fine, but we did the back half 6 through 10. The stages were blowing over as we're trying to shoot them. So literally we were rebuilding stages and then putting the wall support sticks up and then shooting it.
Was this last year or the year before?
No, the year before when
year
Lucky
before.
David and Lucky Gray, David Lyell and I did it. David Lyell was having a good day. He wanted to win open and everything. And then once we hit those stages, there's one point where we didn't shoot for like 2 hours and he just went cold.
So that was the first match that I went there for with you guys, but that was before we even were friends. And that was the match that I remember walking up and the local shooters that are members of the club were like trying to tear down shit from the stage. They were walking out like, well, this is we're going to use this. And I don't remember who walked up, but somebody was like, no, this is a match. Like you can't just, they're like, we'll just put it to the side and shoot. And they're like, no, you can't touch this. And I was like, I'm looking at him like, I'm not part of that range, but I'm going, you better not touch that shit, dude, because you're going to get your ass like in a big world of trouble because you can't just move the target back where it was. That whole stage, I mean, there was like 2 bays they were trying to take too. It was like, goodness.
I might just lay down and quit. Like,
yeah, I mean, I got called over there for one of them. I'm like, look, I've sent the emails out. I've done everything. You need to leave. And I didn't realize it was not fun.
Let's talk about that a little bit because like, so right now, the big difference that I've noticed in Area 8 and the South Carolina Sectional is that we don't have access to all of our bays a week early. So like right now that the club that the difference in the way South Carolina is Area 8 range is South Carolina is actually ran by or used by the members throughout the whole year. And then they have 6 competition bays?
Yeah, 6.
And then the rest is like a public, I guess the public it's not really public line, but it's like bays, but then the public uses it or the members use it. So we have to wait to use those bays until last minute. So members get to use it until we don't.
What do you get? Do you get the day before staff or do you get 2 days before staff?
We'll get, current schedule is we'll get 2 of them on Tuesday and 2 on Wednesday. But if it's slow or whatever, I'll bump it up like I did last year, but that's the current schedule.
Yeah.
So we should get it sooner. I hope next year.
Tom, that's actually pretty typical for a lot of different areas. You get some bays that you can set up like starting the weekend before but you got to leave open bays. And then right before the match, you're allowed to have whatever left.
Because they pay for them.
Yeah,
I know ours is like the range that I use for our match. One of the reasons why I struggle with getting it done trying to get it done is I can't get to the base till 5:30. So I already start off extremely late trying to build 5 stages because the range is open till 5:30. Every once in a while I'll get lucky and nobody's on the range, but at least get 1 built before 7. But it doesn't always work that way. So that is definitely a factor in building matches, especially these big matches like this, because the details really matter when you get into those bigger matches.
Yep. For sure. Yeah. And we'll have 2 RMs this year and they'll both be there early. So that's going to help out too. So I'm not scrambling on Thursday to do the final touches on the stages and then shoot as an admin squad. That's always fun.
Just be careful with the RMs these days. I've seen some RMs step on match director dicks and I was pretty disappointed. So
yeah,
essentially whatever you've set up for the match, as long as there's not something unsafe or illegal about it, they shouldn't be making changes to your stages.
No,
thank you, Bill Duda. This is what I've been saying.
Well, Tom doesn't want to screw the target sticks in, but we're still doing it. So
you don't need to screw target sticks in. It's the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life.
Well, okay. Not screwing them in is something new for my ear hole. I've seen us use wedges on stuff that didn't need to be blown around.
There you go. Thank you.
The wedges, we've got we've got the wedges or we put the screws in them. Either way, something's got to be done with those wood target stands that we use so they don't blow back and forth. So it's
especially when you have them at like a wall angle where if they're blowing one way, you got an advantage. If they blow the other way, you're boned. Yeah,
exactly.
Right, but a wide open target, okay, doesn't need that at all.
And then dude, listen, you don't even understand. There is a level of
OCD?
not ADD, but like
OCD.
OCD.
Yes,
I've heard stories, and I've met this very awesome gentleman, Lou Walker, from up in our area that was setting up matches long before I even came into the sport, and he was kind of notorious about setting up a dry string for fault lines to be lined up correctly. So there are levels of attention to detail that we don't all pay attention to.
Well, listen, I'm very detailed. I'm a super detailed person.
But have you ever set up a string so your fault lines were straight?
No, you know why? Because that's retarded. That's just retarded. I don't care.
It was somebody else's level.
Dumb. That's next level extra.
You not wanting the targets to go back and forth might be retarded to somebody else.
It's not that bad, Bill. It's not that bad. I promise. I've been there. I've shot their matches. I've shot at that range a lot. I put my classes on there in really good windy storms and very cold weather.
Jesus, you don't make me want to go to any of your classes.
It's not that bad,
right?
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. This stuff is ridiculous. Listen, it's ridiculous.
Dude, it's winter. I've been shooting PCC, so I'll take my jacket off.
I saw you with no shirt on.
But you shoot it without your shirt on. So
hey, that was a fall summer day. And I didn't bring my pistol, so I was shooting with PCC with a shirt off. So.
By the way, I'm loving the limited optics gateway to PCC. I'm not gays no more. That was the one I just remembered the most. I was like, oh my God, he's on fire right now.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely some interesting people out there. And I like making fun of them.
Yes. Well, you kind of have a business model around it.
Isn't it retarded?
Yeah, I know.
So let's talk a little bit about, I want to get into kind of what you helped provide us for this match, because it's going to change basically everything when it comes to scores for us. So right now you basically gave us packets. Well, Todd, tell me, or Bill, you tell me what you sent us totally, so I don't mess up what you actually sent.
Sure, not a problem. So last year when I was out there, Todd and I were discussing, because I went and brought the entire Wi-Fi package. I drove all the way down there and made sure that we had range coverage for the Wi-Fi so we could do live scoring. And it really, it takes a lot of headache out for a match to do it that way. For sure. And Todd and I started discussing what would it take for them to set that up so that they didn't have to have me come out, because I was like, look, I've spent a lot of money to get out here to do this. a lot more than Go Fast Don't Suck can absorb. So it's not something I could do 2 years in a row. And so we talked about it several times, and I offered my opinions, but what he really needed was a better IT solution to come out and do a professional setup for them. So they've got now on their practical shooting pits, if I'm not mistaken, you've got a couple of access points that share mesh from the clubhouse now.
Yep, from the clubhouse, we've got one on the 300-yard range, one actually on the clubhouse, and then one on Competition Bay 2 and Competition Bay 5. And we got a quote for it. The club didn't want to pay for it. So Randy Meadows and I, Randy really kind of picked it up there, did the research on the wavelengths, and then we started installing them and figuring out what the best coverage that we could get down there, and then how far we can drop it off where we have electricity at the club. So.
Right. So those are permanently powered, which is awesome. But with them having spent their money on that, and they kind of blew their wad getting it set up for the normal every match thing, they've got the extra rifle bays that you guys call it downhill, I think.
Yeah. Down here, the multiplex bays, but yeah.
Right. So down there was those other bays. There's no power, no connection down there. So since I'm not making the trip, I actually sent him battery packs, access points, and power supplies and stuff to be able to emulate what I had done on his own, knock it out. He's obviously nerded out about this enough to be able to manage it. So I just sent the package to him.
That's awesome.
We'll return label. I'll probably get everything back. It'll be awesome.
So basically they'll be able to look at their scores as soon as they finish shooting, I guess, right? Is that what the goal is?
So live scoring is taken a couple different ways. So what we have is through Practice Score, they've enabled when you enable score logging. What that does is, as long as you have an internet connection on that device will take your score and immediately push it out to the servers at Practice Score. Once they hit the servers at Practice Score, as long as you have emails turned on, it will log that email and send it straight out to the shooter. Now, that's cool because you don't have to do paper receipts as long as you have enough backups. You know, you have to have a certain level of backups and a certain number of like every half hour you have to do a manual pull to make sure there's one master tablet with everything on it.
Right.
But at minimum, you have everything on the cloud. So the next step to that is Practice Score Competitor. Now, Practice Score Competitor was not originally designed to be a Practice Score product, but what it does, what he's been able to do is it takes the email and will parse out your scores. Not only that, but if you have like the split scoring timers that have the Bluetooth enabled, if they'll pull those splits to the tablet as well. Now you won't see that this is the little thing people don't realize. So if you have Practice Score Competitor and you refresh it after you've submitted your scores, you give it a minute for Practice Score Competitor to actually pull it and parse that email out. But you'll get an update in there and you can see where you're at in the standings based on that stage and you're finished in that moment.
Yep.
You won't be able to see the splits yet. When they do a manual pull to the master tablet, that pulls all the splits in, and when they push from that, whatever at lunch and at the end of the day, then you also get to see your splits compared to other shooters. And that's where you can really start to nerd out into the details of why you suck.
See, I didn't realize that it didn't pull the splits part until then, so I learned something.
Right. So the email that you get is what Practice Score Competitor parses out. So you can see basically all you really need is the hit factor, but it's going to tell you the time and the whatever alphas, Charlie's,
the actual hits. Right.
I'm
a big fan of the Bluetooth splits and all that on the like. I really am adamant when I set up. So we do the same exact thing. It doesn't go live, obviously, because we don't have that, but the technology or anything, and we're definitely not putting that onto a range that I don't own. But we have a setup to where I'm adamant about really make sure that you guys push that button for those splits. And it's not, it's just so that we can give the shooters more information. It's not, I mean, some people just don't know or don't care, but I'm like, if you're scoring me, I'm like, hey bro, hit that button. Like, like hit that button. It's very important to me. Like, and again, it's not, like a good example, the other day I had a draw, an unloaded start draw, and I was struggling with that. And that's one of the reasons I started to put the stage with an unloaded start. So when I hit it, I was like, what was that? I was like, you hit that button so I can study that later. And it was exactly what I set the stage up for. It was just that one position.
Well,
so it's really cool.
There's two more things that relate that pushing that button on the tablet does. So the tablet, depending on if you're using iOS or Android, the tablet will either keep syncing from the timer. So if you then take it and stick it behind your back and hit your belt, it'll pick up that as a split and update the tablet.
Right.
So you don't want that. And then, so when you hit that button, it actually locks in the time and you can pick up extra shots and tap the timer, and it's not going to pick up those extra shots.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. Okay.
Right. And the other thing, and this is actually something that saved me at Area 7 last year. Area 7? Maybe it was Trident. I can't remember either. But up in Maine, I had an extra like 4 seconds on my time, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And we went back and looked in the tablet because they had pushed that button. It showed that there was a 4-second split between the last shot. And they were like, did he do that? And they're like, no, he fucking killed that stage. That was the only one he shot well on all day. I was like, yeah, give me my real score. Yeah. I didn't have to reshoot, and I didn't have to eat the 4 seconds. So
that's good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had the same thing happen in Texas, but with no Bluetooth. So, but they were able to go back and find it. They did have the commander. So it was really easy to find, but they had to go back and they were like, whoa, what? And actually it was funny because, well, I guess it's not funny because 4 or 5 other shooters had problems with their scores as well. So they were able to go back for them though, because they had already hit the button and they were able to find it and make the adjustments. But as soon as when I came away from that stage originally, they said something like 11 or 12, and I think it was like a 7-second stage. Cause I had other people to watch and follow, that weren't at like per se my level, but when I was like, wait, I have a 10-second on that guy, and he had like 5 makeup shots. I was like, there's no way my time's that. And I was just like, well, man, did I really miss something? I don't know. Cause you never know, you try not to be that guy who fights and argues and shit about something that you're like, I'm pretty sure I did okay on that. And it was good because I said something because 4 or 5.
It's the guy with the timer like this.
Right.
Unload and show clear, and you're not
100%.
paying attention. You rack the gun,
right?
And now you picked up an extra shot.
Actually, what happened, because it was with an open gun, and I usually don't. I had just started shooting. It was in Texas, and I racked it like 6 or 7 times because I'm like, new to me, and it just, dude, he was just like click, 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 click. And he was getting every single one of those racks. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's where it went up. So, actually, you're like, this is why I'm glad you came on, man, because we haven't really had a chance to have this conversation. But since we're on the podcast, I can tell you're one of the reasons. And it's funny, we joked about it with the dirt and all the stuff that you dealt with last year. You're one of the reasons that I kind of jumped in both feet first on the sponsorship area. And I persuaded Todd multiple times to steal the biggest bay that we have, to do a live fire bay, to bring in as many sponsors as we could in the vendor area, not just bring sponsors to the match because that's awesome, but I wanted interaction with shooters and sponsors. I want to change the way we treat sponsors. Your tent was frustrating to me last year because you were in a great spot for everyone to go by. The problem is everybody went by.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good stopping point. So for me, I had made my decision to jump in and really get involved in the match and like talk to Todd. I'm like, listen, man, we need to do this. I'm telling you, we talked to Bill, this can be done. We can make this so much better. We need to make Vendor Row something that's real, not just, hey, sticks. We like last year is a good example is we had vendors in front of stages, which is normally great, right? That's no big deal, but like 40 miles from each other, there's no camaraderie. There's no vendors being near each other. There's no specific place like, hey, vendor. It was just like, oh, cool. Like there's one.
Yeah.
It was just so random.
Oh, there's another one way over there.
Right. Right.
Okay.
So this year we actually took the biggest bay, which is 1, which really makes Todd nervous, by the way. So you have to go to Vendor Row when you listen to this, guys. We took the biggest bay and I'm going to cut it in half. We're going to have a warm-up bay, a sight-in bay, and we're going to have it's going to be a test area for all of our vendors that are bringing guns. I will say that I'm a little frustrated, sponsors right here. I'm a little frustrated that I reached out and never got to go screw yourself. No, thank you. Nothing. But if I was to get that message, if you were to call me for something and I didn't call you back, how would that feel? Right. So I get this I used to get this in construction. If you didn't call somebody back, you were a dick. But if you sent somebody an estimate and they didn't call you back, well, that's just the way it goes. And I was like, interesting how that works. But I really, really wanted to promote more sponsors, but it seems like they didn't want to come. They didn't even want to respond back. So Bill, maybe you could give me some advice on what did I do wrong there? Did I not start early enough?
Lower your expectations.
Yeah. Is that what it is? Am I expecting it to be much better than it is?
Well, let me spit it out to you from now on the sponsor side of things that I'm doing nowadays. Well, I've been in your shoes where I've sent out emails and requests and things and didn't hear back, but was really excited when I did hear something back. I was like, awesome. I got somebody.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
I get emails from all across the country. People that I've never even heard of that would like for me to sponsor their match. And I'm really small, dude. I don't have this big budget to blow around. And
Right.
I'm just like, I don't know. Let me look. And then it'll get put into now I have a folder specifically for sponsor requests. It'll get put in there and I'll do shit like, last week before I got on an airplane, I was sitting here drawing up, certificates and mailing them out without even saying, hey, I'm sending you something. Like,
Nice.
just get it done and send it out. Like
Right.
I got an email from him saying, oh, that's awesome. I got your letter today. I'm like, What letter?
Yeah.
Where did I send it to?
The sponsor certificates. I was like, oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad you got them. Sweet.
Right. I just feel like the sponsors have been, I don't want to say done dirty, but just not made a priority for so long that I think that I'm fighting that right now.
Well,
Right.
so I've had people come to me asking me about how they can get sponsored and things like that. And it's the same thing for a match. If you can demonstrate to somebody quickly, I mean, this is a sales pitch. If you can demonstrate to somebody quickly that you understand what they offer and you think you've got something new that you'd like to, showcase for them, it's a much better draw. I've gotten emails that is like the standard big email, and I'm like, oh, I'll just cut them at whatever, $300 in certs and be done with it, right? Like I'm not going to read all that. I'm sorry. I love you guys. And then I got the other one that was a short. It was like, hey, you're an asshole. You're the reason I'm even doing this shit. Why don't you send me some stuff? I'm like, okay, you understand.
God, was that your letter? Did you send that to Bill, you dick?
No. Actually, mine was, I went back and found a post of his that he did about the Wi-Fi and stuff that he was doing. I'm like, hey, can we do this?
Yeah.
And he responded back. He's like, you're planning it like 9 months out. He's like, you'll be my first one for this year. I'm like,
Nice.
yes, that's awesome. Because honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do. We had printers the year before, and the printers don't like dust. And Belt and Gun Club has dust.
Yes.
So we had all sorts of issues all match with the printers.
But so the other thing that I try to tell matches and people trying to get sponsorship as well is it has a questionable return on investment, right? Like how much money I put in has a questionable, it's hard to create. How much did that earn me doing that sponsorship? How much does me sponsoring you as a shooter and paying for 4-year matches this year and getting you a jersey and things like that, giving you some of my product, what does that do for me? And how can I make this, show that this is actually a return on investment? If you realize these guys are doing it because they love the game and they're more interested in you, what you're doing, and less about what the match statistics are. That's how you end up with this. Like if you can explain to a sponsor that you are aware that you're not going to make them money, but you want to be able to showcase them in a way that they haven't seen before. Look at what we did last year. And like when we did Area 8, I had a video from the Virginia match where I had somebody run around with a camera. They got their free match just so they ran around with a camera and made me like a little highlight reel. And it had sponsor banners in it and had, and it looked real slick and had some music to it. And when I sent that link along with my sponsorship request, I got a lot more response because they were seeing something new they hadn't seen before. And it was being shown to the public in a way that was positive, that was, showing their brand off and things like that. So if you can find a new way to, or even if it's an old way and you've been seeing it, like some of the, and look, I know everybody has their loves and hates about the org, right? But this last series of nationals, they did a really good job. They legitimately got somebody there to do the short clips and stuff like that looked professional. I mean, they were professional, right? But and that created content for them to use all year long.
Yep.
On their social medias. And it was amazing. It was definitely the way to do that. If you can find somebody like that to show up to your match and you can show a sponsor like, hey, this is what we did for you last year. Are you in again? They'll probably be like, fuck yeah, I'm in again. That was awesome.
Well, that's the plan this year. I am bringing all of my camera gear. I plan on setting up a podcast booth so that we can have conversations with the vendors. They can showcase their gear. My plan is, we post something almost every single day about our sponsors. So it's like more than that one every 3-month thing that I hear a lot in packages. We post something almost every day. I post something on my personal page, like for my own, like the Tom Castro Shooting Academy has nothing to do with South Carolina, but I'm posting it on there because, to get my group of people that follow me to follow that as well. I'm bringing everything. I'm bringing cameras, lights. I spent, thanks to you, $1,000 for a tent setup. What the hell was I doing? I spent another $1,500 in shirts and hats to fill in sizes that I didn't have. I'm going all out, man. Like I know this will be successful, and I know the first year is gonna, I don't think we'll struggle a lot just because of the vision that I have. I'm pretty good at like kind of making those things happen. I'm sure there's going to be shit that doesn't go perfect, and that's just how it works at every match. But it's just like the thing that I struggle with the most is I know what will sell in this sport, and you get your gear in front of someone's hands and you get them out on the range, they're going to buy it. Yeah. But if you're not at the range, the thing is I understand the cost. Like I was able to talk to somebody from CZ at SHOT Show and ask him about coming to the match, and he gave me a pretty darn high number of what it would cost him to come. And it's almost $5,000, he said. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to sell $5,000 in CZs for you. You know what I mean? But it's, again, it's just like, okay, so a great example is Glock. I was able to call Glock and get a hold of Shane and have a conversation with him about, coming into the match. I explained to him what I wanted to do, what we're going to do. I asked him if he could bring his new trigger to the match, right? And set up guns. I have FFLs we could give it to, whatever we had to do to get it to work. I want people to try that new trigger. And it's funny because I've never really been like a huge Glock guy, but I was at SHOT Show and actually felt that trigger. I'm like, this actually changes this gun like tremendously. It's that nice. It literally is that nice.
Did it fix the grip angle? No, it didn't fix the grip angle.
Right. No. But again, there's a lot of people that don't care about the angle. They care more about the trigger, right? They like the angle. They just hate the sloppy trigger that they've always had.
Sure.
So he has this amazing product, and but scheduling didn't work out. Plus, he's like, yeah, man, I can't keep them in stock. I'm like, you guys own the product. Steal 2 of them. Don't sell those 2 and have it as a demo gun, right? And he just wasn't able to make it this year. But, again, able to sponsor us, actually gave us one of the nicest sponsor packages so far. And it's like, man, it's like, those are the guys that I will 100%, remember next year to get a hold of early and be like, look, I will give you this much more extra conversation on, posting about you throughout the year instead of just that standard, hey guys, we'll get you 3 months or in the matchbook kind of thing.
Yep.
So it's just, the videos are coming. It's all that stuff. And yes, it takes time, but it's just, I just feel like I was kind of fighting there's not enough money in it. And It's just like, there's not enough money in it because I feel like the shooter and the sponsors have separated. They're not one anymore like they used to be, at least from what I would see.
Right. So sponsorship back in the day and vendors back in the day was, how do you describe this? It's kind of like, you got to remember this all started way pre-internet, right? Especially pre-Amazon, right? Yeah. Like if you wanted to see what if you actually wanted a new magwell for your 2011, you had to hope a vendor showed up with a 2011 magwell that would fit your gun, that fit your, or if you wanted to do something, you only got exposed to it through this. Now with social media, with online purchasing, with websites, it's so much easier to be a sponsor by just kicking out what the match asks for instead of showing up and expecting the rest of that media to travel around. But there's other people that are willing to put the effort in, and you see these guys, and this is the part that hurts my emotions a little bit. My one emotion I've got left, this one, where you got somebody that shows up to matches all the time, right? They're there, you see them at all these level 2s, level 3s, you see them sponsoring nationals, and you see their name everywhere. And when you go to buy a product, the first thing you think of, well, let me check Gunbroker. let me see what's available on whatever, Bob's Gun Shop. Let me just go down to my local place and see what they got. I mean, I'm not trying to harp too bad on local places, but if you're gonna like get a product for our sport to play our sport, why don't you go like support somebody that actually supports the sport? That's huge for me. I was talking to Donna Webb when we were down in Area 6, and she was like, well, what do you think about this idea or that idea? I was like, Donna, I was like, I think that's great, and I know I can supply that for you. But if you don't like what I've got, or you think my price is wrong or whatever, go get it someplace else. But please look within the sport first. Like, If you want to do like hats or something and you don't want them from me, there's other companies that are doing that. If you don't want, a jersey from me, there's at least 3 main manufacturers that are also making them too. Go talk to those guys. Let's keep it within the sport if you can. Don't, that's why I started doing the banners, because I'm looking around and I'm like, all right, so I can order a $50 4-foot banner, right? And it'll last forever. I need it to ship to a match and never see again. It needs to last 4 days, right? So it needs to last 4 days. Oh shit, I bought this printer so I can do dry fire decals. I can kick out 4-foot banners all day long and charge less than half that. So let's do, and the reason I do it is to help matches spend less money so they can spend more money on the shooters, and help sponsors spend less money so they can spend more money on the matches. So it's all just, as long as the shit pays for itself, I don't care.
I mean, so this is one of the things I was actually going to bring up, and I'm glad I couldn't have segued it any better. This is exactly what we did when we needed banners. We didn't go, like, you actually sent me to somebody to buy what I needed for my commercial tent because you didn't make it big enough. So I bought what I couldn't buy from you, and then I bought all of my banners from you. Todd bought all of the South Carolina banners that we needed from you. That is what was the goal from the beginning, right? Like, I was like, hey man, I need this size. You're like, I don't make those, but I make this, this, and this. I go, give me 4 of those, and then I'll go buy this over here. And then I went down the rabbit hole of holy shit and spent $1,000 on shit to make. So I have a professional tent and everything else at this match.
You did end up with a full canopy and everything, didn't you?
So I bought my tent separate, and then I bought the canopy. I bought a back wall, a side wall. Yeah. And then hold on. Speaking of Amazon,
how
bought
big is this
tablecloth. I bought a tablecloth. It's a 40 by 40. No, I'm kidding, dude. It's only a 10 by 10.
I was like, what?
It's a 10 by 10. I just bought a commercial 10 by 10. It was $188 versus a $450, which is what they were charging. And I'm sure they're probably pretty close. But
stop trying to make Todd cry.
Yeah, it was.
I was just like,
he's like, we ain't got no room.
I was like, that's the tent for everybody.
It's going to cover 2 bays easily.
So I mean, that's kind of one of the things that I'm excited about the most is, I guess I'm excited and disappointed. Like I had this like vision of just rows and rows of tents with vendors on the left and vendors on the right. And it's just, I mean, it's going to be packed. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not going to have the 19 sponsors that I have coming to the match able to show up, right? Or 18 sponsors, whatever it is that we had. But it's like, that was the part that was frustrating to me, because I mean, and I've been in contact with all the vendors that are coming. And I was like, it's easier to talk to somebody on the phone and give them that vision than it is to email somebody, right? And not only that, but I think they can feel the passion that I have for growing this vendor area, because to me, I came from the paintball world before I ever did this. And let me tell you something. You have never been to an event like a paintball mat like that, because those guys literally bring tractor trailers and open up the side of those bitches and put up tents, and they have clothing. I mean, every single year you would spend $2,000 on just a paintball gun.
Yep.
I mean, every year, even though you had one, you were like, oh, cool, the new one's out, I'm going to go buy it. It didn't matter, right? Like, we have the same opportunity in this sport. Like, Canik just came out with a brand new Rival S. They can't even keep them on the shelf, but people want to buy them. They want to feel them. They want to shoot them. They want to see what they're like. I get it. We have 35,000 members, but that's 35,000 customers. I have almost 400 people coming to this match, right? It's like, that's 400 customers.
I was at a match. I was at a match when a vendor was there, and they were packing their booth up, and they were leaving on a Saturday. I was like, we're shooting tomorrow. And he's like, yeah. I was like, hold up. I was like, let me understand. And I called over the match director. I says, hey, I was like, this isn't like a sanctioned match. He's like, no, it's kind of our falling steel thing. I was like, yeah, right. Okay. I says, how many new shooters to the sport do you think are going to show up tomorrow? And he's like, oh, like 90% of the people that show up are just your local, people that they come out to shoot our steel match anyway. And I was like, okay. I was like, and you paid for your hotel already? He's like, yeah. I was like, is your flight in the morning? He's like, no, it's not until late afternoon. I was like, and you're going home early with missing 90% of the people showing up tomorrow as unexposed to your equipment. Where are you going? So there's a level of understanding with sponsors as well that is being missed on. But
Yeah, I just had that conversation with Masterpiece Arms, David Lyle. I said, listen, man, I called him. I called oh my gosh, who was the other one I called? I called one of our other big sponsors, and I said, guys, listen. Brian from Hunters HD Gold. I said, when are you coming in? I asked both of them separately, obviously. I said, when are you guys coming in? I said, I want you guys to realize, or I want you to understand that we have paid staff. That's 75 shooters that are 75 customers that are shooting on Friday for staff day. Can you be here for Friday? I want them to get the full experience of this match and not feel like staff, right? So, I mean, I'm setting everything up I don't want them to feel like staff. I want them to feel like part of the match. So that's why. So they're going to try to come in Friday instead. Actually, Brian's coming in Wednesday night or driving in Wednesday. He's going to be there for Thursday and set up. So I'm going to set him up in a little bit different spot. Well, remember, I got to pull him in and out. He's got to drive. Everybody else is going to leave a tent. So I want him to kind of pick what's the easiest for him to come in and out. And he brings a mansion with him anyway, every time. So he needs extra space, and he bought a new tent. So my goal is to add shade in there and all of our food's there. So it should keep them in that area is my goal. And I want people to enjoy it. I don't want people just to be like, oh God, I got to go walk through a vendor. I want them to go and shoot the shit, hang out, be around that area. It's what it should feel like. It should feel like an event.
Yep. Go ahead, Bill.
Sorry. And if you're a shooter and you've gone to a match, or you're going to this match and you're going to see these vendors there, and even if it's people you've seen before or whatever, you're going to go up and you just don't want to be hassled with the idea of like being given a sales pitch or whatever. First off, all these guys are really laid back. They're there anyway. They're probably exhausted from being there. They're not trying to sit there and give you a hard sell. Right. So just go up and talk to them. They're shooters. Right. They just want to hang out with you. And then the other thing is, even if you're a seasoned player of the sport and you've seen all these people and you've met them all, you know them by name, just walk up and thank them for being there. Because I've done that at nationals where I wasn't even shooting the damn thing. Just walk around to all the vendors and say, hey man, I really appreciate you being here. It's cool seeing you guys here. I'm not even shooting. I just want you guys to know that you're doing awesome. Thank you for being here. And it meant a lot to some of them. They were like, nobody has thanked us for being here except for the coordinator that asked me to show up. So just let them know that you appreciate them being there, even if you're not standing in their booth spending money with them, because it is a big investment to show up.
If you go to the match website, I've already got it active, but it's a simple Google form called Sponsor Appreciation. Everybody's on there. You can literally go there, put your name in, quick comment. At the end of the match, you're going to take it and send it to everybody that got the comments. I mean, it goes a long ways. I've talked to sponsors that said if they got one positive comment in some way, they would sponsor that match the next year.
Dude, jump on Google. Google search their business, and then just leave a whatever 4 or 5 star review, whatever it is, right? And tell them, hey, it was awesome seeing you at the match. I really appreciate. Even if it's on Facebook or Instagram, you can go in and leave comments about their business, whatever. It's just the little things like that. Or, like me, I go on the food vendor's website and ask them, tell everybody how great I thought his meat was in my mouth.
Well, and this year we're going to have the barbecue guy. He's going to do hamburgers and hot dogs, but something that was asked for as a joke, but we're actually going to have a guy that makes homemade ice cream there this year.
Let's go. I asked for that. I'm not eating it. I'm staying on my diet, damn it. But I'm just saying I asked for it because Area 8 had it, and I almost broke my diet because of Area 8. That thing looks so good. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
I call bullshit. You're going to spend 3 days next to homemade ice cream.
I'm not doing it, bro.
I know who I'm eating my ice cream in front of next year, Tom.
Yeah,
come on,
you bastard. I'm not doing that shit. So they like one thing that happened at this match though I thought that's going to be really cool is Jonathan from Outdoor Dynamics obviously makes ammo, and he's partnered up with Da Vinci and Masterpiece Arms, and he is providing them ammo for people to try their firearms in. Well, I have kind of 2 things that I haven't really talked about. They're going to provide ammo for Masterpiece Arms and Da Vinci for you to try the firearms. And as I got into the conversation with David from Masterpiece Arms, he asked me if he could bring a couple of rigs And so what I have set up for my sponsorship, other than running, you know, the damn vendor area, I have set up my own coaching area. So you will be able to come to the match and get free one-on-one coaching. So basically how I'm going to do it is I'm going to set it up to where you run it your way the first time, and then I'm going to coach you up and then try to make you better instantly on the second run. So I can't, it depends on who's standing there. I can't sit there and coach you for an hour. I'm probably going to have people in a line, I hope, that want to do this. But what I'm going to do is Dave is going to bring his a couple of rigs so people can try his Masterpiece arms. And obviously Da Vinci, I'm sponsored with them. They're going to bring obviously some guns for them, but they're going to allow you to shoot. I'm going to allow you to shoot on that stage and try their actual firearms in a stage scenario, not just, okay, here, 5 rounds to shoot through. Yeah. Add some steel. You're going to actually get to fire it and understand, I guess not understand, but feel it and really get a feel for that firearm in hand. I mean, you can't, I don't know any other range or match that's giving you that right now. So this is my goal is to make the vendor area more of an event than just a, oh, cool. Like Brian's here. Oh, yeah. Great to see you, bro. You know what I mean? Cause like I talked to Brian about this. He is the model that I want to follow in our sport. Show up, let people see you, let people understand that you support them and they'll support you back. Like I talked to Ely last year at Nationals, and he said he had 4 or 3 times the amount of ammo they've ever sold in a year. And I asked him, I said, what do you think that is? He goes, dude, we've been coming here for 4 years and everybody knows us now. They all trust us. They know we make good ammo. They know we support the sport, and people are coming back and paying us back. Cause he's even gone to his, you know, the supervisors or the people that are above them. And they were like, well, what the hell happened? He goes, we've been showing up. And I'm like, I cannot stress that enough to companies that if you show up, they'll buy it, because everybody, like, I'm telling you right now, if SIG showed up with Romeo 3 XLs, I would buy one right away. I don't have to wait for shipping. I would just, here, money, yours, right? Like, it's just, it's just so frustrating that I guess I just came from that paintball world where literally, and again, FFLs are a little bit different. I get how that works, but you can sell a lot of shit that doesn't have to do with an FFL, right? You don't have to sell guns, but you can sell a lot of parts. You can sell magazines. I mean, you name it, people will buy the shit when you're there because they already need it.
Yep.
So, but I'm really excited about them partnering up, because that's something that I haven't seen a whole lot of. I haven't seen, you know, companies kind of work together. So that was kind of cool. Like, obviously they do, but from what I've seen in the vendor area, it's kind of like, hey, vendor over here, vendor over there. Yep. Like, they're not really kind of partner up. So I thought that was kind of cool that those guys are working together and, you know, basically providing ammo so people can try their product.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen Bill's flags. He partners with them all the time. It's another model that he did with his stage flags.
No, I mean, yes, but that's not what I mean. I'm just talking about, like, in that scenario where they're firearm companies and ammo companies joining together and kind of working together to give the shooter / you know, workers an experience to get to try those firearms, right? Like, oh, by the way, are we getting those again for this match, those flags?
No.
The big banners?
I didn't ask for them.
I didn't send them down there.
Cheap bastard, Todd. That was so awesome to find the stages instead of a damn Sharpie on a piece of paper now. Sorry, guys. If you don't, make sure you write in the complaints that you didn't know the sponsor because it didn't have a big banner in the front of it from Bill. Put that on there and he'll have to buy them next year.
I'll just
who cares if that match makes money or actually breaks even? We want to go into the red.
Yep, I'll just have it was Adrian English run him over again. So
I remember Bill was pretty pissed about somebody.
Oh, for shit's sake.
He forgot about that, didn't he?
There was like 2 of them.
Just let that go, that son of a bitch.
2 of them legit got ran over by stage staff. Yeah. I was like, and then I found out because I was walking around the range for something else. I was like, why the hell's my flag laying on the ground? Yeah. Oh, it's not. The fucking the thing that stakes it in the ground was bent over at a 90-degree angle. I was like, oh, what the fuck?
Oh God. Hey, dude, it's hard to get good volunteers, man. You know, you can't pay
I busted one of them out. I called him out and I was like, bro. He's like, oh, you saw that? That's like I was gonna miss it.
That's so awesome.
Bill's only zooming around the whole club on his 4-wheeler.
Just cussing out everybody.
Oh, that was so awesome.
No, I think my reaction was, it was like, fucking really? Like, and
yeah, I mean, if you do it, that's one thing, but tell us about it, because you and I were both like, I'm like, it had to be my people.
So I can understand. You ran over the meme guy's flag and were scared of repercussions. I'll be adults about this. Like,
do you remember when we went to dinner that night or towards the end of the match, and you were like, you had created so much content just from that match. I remember you were like busting out through the phone, and me and Todd were like, holy shit, bro, he's just hammering on all this stuff. He's got so much good shit from this match. I remember you writing it all, like putting it all in. He's like, oh, I got to put that in there. I got to remember that one.
Yeah, it's basically just create the meme while you're thinking about it, and then
you don't have to work very hard. There's a lot of shit in this one.
There's a lot. Yeah, every match you go to, there's a lot of content available.
So
it was funny though, while you're making the memes though, you taught Tom and I a lot about social media right then and there, because I didn't know about the business.facebook.com that you could post to Facebook and Instagram at the same time.
Yeah.
And all this other stuff. And you gave Tom and I a class right then and there at Longhorn on how to get better.
It wasn't the way it was when I first started doing this, but it's very nice that, they got bought out. Now you can just one post schedules to both of them. So,
oh yeah, that's freaking awesome.
Anybody who doesn't know, last year was extra dry at the match, and the road really isn't that dusty, but when you have a match with 400 shooters and you have golf carts and cars and all these people driving down it, it got extremely dry, and the dirt just packed down to where it was really dusty. Well, Bill picked it on a nice, like wet kind of road of no dust at all. And 3 days in, you never saw Go Fast Don't Suck when a car drove by. It was just a dust,
just a dust cloud
everywhere. Yeah. You're like, Bill, are you in there? Like,
yeah, the golf cart drivers were actually wearing dust masks while they're driving around because it was so bad.
Yeah.
Well, this year will be a lot better, but you'll never know because you didn't show, you dick. Okay. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Tom Castro Shooting Academy Next Level Podcast. This is the end of part 1. Tune in next week to listen to part 2.